Hi, everybody. For those of you that come from another planet, I'm that weird guy, you know, who sticks his tongue out in America's #1 gold record award-winning group of all time in all categories. And I quite honestly would, in case you don't know, to distinguish me from Richard Simmons, I would stick my tongue out, but the floor is a little dirty. Okay, so now let's get serious for a second, but just for a second. You may be wondering what Gene Simmons has to do with Invictus-MD.com. So in the interest of full disclosure, I want you to know that I'm a straight edge guy. It's my hand to God. Never been drunk, never smoked anything, never rolled up, no cigarettes, no nothing. And really I was dismissive because I was misinformed and uninformed. They're two totally different things about cannabis as a whole. I didn't know about the medicinal values until I saw a 6-year-old little girl with epilepsy who used a cannabis product based on her doctor's diagnosis and miraculously, or so it seemed, was cured. And Dr. Sanjay Gupta went on CNN and did an entire special, a series of them actually, called Weed. So I was, in the interest of full disclosure again, I'm proud to be the Chief Evangelical Officer, CEO, see what we did there, of Invictus-MD.com, in case those of you are writing this down. And Invictus, why Invictus instead of all the other brands, including Canopy and all the big boys who came to my house and pitched one after the other? And I believe in management top on down. If the management is wrong, then the entire business is going to fail, respectfully. That's my point of view. There's a CEO whose name is Dan Kresnick, and he and I connected culturally. We agreed on the same idea, which is not to go heavy-handed and tug on everybody's proverbial shirt sleeve and say, hey, you want to buy some of that stuff? I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to tell you a simple idea. We all need to do more research. Doctors, researchers, especially legislators. The world is changing. Laws are changing in every country on the face of the planet. Some countries are way ahead of the curve. Canada and Israel, for two of them, Amsterdam. Some states in America are more lenient. We're all going to learn as we go along. So my interest in Invictus initially was a financial one. I invest and get involved in companies, and I kick the tires like we all do. Due diligence, find out what the structure is, the management team, and so on. And the interest of full disclosure, because when we rang the bell at the TSX in Toronto, it was disclosed. I got paid $2.5 million cash and another $10 million in stock. I'm personally really excited about the stock. My personal opinion is, and I'm not here to convince you of anything, is that Invictus is a solidly run company, and I think it's going to go way up. That's why I'm here. Why am I here to talk to you about this stuff? Because the simple idea is less about Invictus, more as cannabis. I don't like the term. I told to the people who head this wonderful organization, I don't like the term marijuana. Champagne is booze when you really think about it. Call it champagne. Culturally, it's skewed higher. The medicinal values are so good for mankind, I'm told. I think cannabis is the right term. So I'm here to talk to you about anything you like. We have a restaurant chain called Rock and Brews. I'm one of the founding members. They're all over America and spreading very fast. We have a family office. You don't have enough time for all the various businesses I'm involved in, but I'm happy to answer a few questions if you'd like. I think I have a few more minutes. Anybody want?
This is shock and awe right here. Here we go.
$5 a minute.
$5 a minute. Your name and question, please.
My name is Mike.
No, that's not gonna. Come on, stand up, be a leader.
Here we go. Let's do it right.
Come on, Mike.
There we go.
Yeah, you're right.
Be a leader.
All right. Okay, Gene. My name is Michael. I'm from New York. I'm here exploring the business for the first time. If you were to say there's one thing that you would encourage a new business person looking at this business.
Research, and more research. You know, if you're an investor or interested in the space, ignore everything good-looking guys like yours truly says. Go in and do your own due diligence. Find out culturally medicinally and in other ways, whether or not the business is going up or not. Find out for yourself with your due diligence people whether or not legislation is going to be beneficial to the business. See my body language as I'm going to different things? Of course, these are semantics, but I'm not anti-semantic, Michael. So I would urge you to ignore everything I'm saying. Do your own research. As a business, if you want my opinion, I'll tell you that. Otherwise, figure it out for yourself. There are wonderful companies here. I'm a fan of Invictus. Up to you.
Jim Marty's got a question back here, Gene.
When's the next Kiss tour?
Important question.
Can you ask him, have him ask that question again?
Oh, can you ask the question again, sir? If you don't mind, just be very clear into the microphone.
When is the next Kiss tour?
There you go. There's the payment. That's it. Now we got it. Yeah.
We are, don't laugh, we pay in American currency. We are, KISS has been around 45 years, and boy, do I look good. We're starting a worldwide tour by 2019 that'll last, a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years.
There we go. Okay, name and question, please.
Dr. Mark Moore. Gene,
Hi,
thank you
Doc.
for...
What kind of doctor, may I ask?
Cannabis doctor.
What is a cannabis doctor?
I prescribe cannabis for medical conditions
Okay.
in Florida.
In Florida.
Thank you for being here. I've read your autobiography. You are one of the most amazing businessmen I've ever seen. You've reinvented yourself so many times. What's your favorite? Is playing music still your favorite, or is cannabis going to become your new favorite?
I know, I don't think you should pick on favorite anything. Wake up every day, look at the menu of life, and pick what gets you excited. I mean, if God only gave you 24 hours of life today, what are you going to do? Watch more I Love Lucy reruns? Or you're going to, I'm sorry, Kardashian reruns?
There
Sorry.
you go. That's more current. Yeah.
You know, you wake up every day and just approach life with gusto like it's the last day you'll ever have, because that proverbial buzz is right around the corner waiting to take you off the planet. So what's my favorite thing today? Right here, right now, it's cannabis, specifically Invictus-MD.com. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
And
Question.
tomorrow it's going to be something, but you stay connected with things you care about. That you don't want to be a used car salesman, buy this kind of thing. I don't want to do that. That's why I'm on the ground, meeting people, pressing the flesh, and that's why they didn't plan on questions. I want the back and forth, because I learn more about you, you learn more about me, and I urge you to ignore everything I say and do your own research.
Great stuff. There we go.
It was a pleasure to talk to me.
All right. Name and question, please.
David Perez. I'm with Conha Technology Solutions, and we have a business that focuses in ERP on cannabis. What does Invictus do? Tell me about Invictus.
Invictus is growing like many cannabis companies are, because regulatory has some certain guidelines, so I can't speak specifically to everything except to say that it's growing. It started off as a medicinal sort of cannabis products, and many cannabis companies, I'm told, are moving into the recreational space. By the way, I have this to say about recreational space, my opinion. Fair warning, you might get the munchies and reach over for Doritos. That's about it.
Sure. And just, we have one last question, and for you, sir, the only guy that's here to pitch is Gene, so let's make sure that we don't do that into the microphone, right? Fair enough. Question and
Why not?
name and question.
Oops, sorry. Nick Erta from Reckner Healthcare. We do market research.
No, again, no pitching. Yeah, just the question.
I guess when you say research and data, what do you think is the next steps for that? Like what?
I really believe that part and parcel of research has to do with legislators getting off their behinds, because they have an inferred fiduciary duty to their own asses. They're there to try to get reelected. It's up to us to make sure we hold them accountable, and if our children are sick, we want to elect officials that are going to take care of our families. For me, cannabis is good because of my family. If my child was diagnosed with something that the doctor says cannabis could help, I no matter what, I would treat my child with any way the doctor said. So I would urge all of us, if you care, to think about positioning the story in general terms to the masses, because they don't know. They're dismissive. They're doing, it's that stuff, that loser on the corner. It's not. Have them tell your friends to go watch Dr. Sanjay Gupta on CNN in a special called Weed. It's enlightening. The information is out there and it's changing every day. Israel and Canada are way at the forefront, like Israel usually is. And do your own research. We need to position the story in much more people-friendly terms, not in Cheech and Chong terms.
That's it. Gene, we're going to move to the next phase here. I'm behind you.
I don't care about that.
I understand, but we're gonna move to the interview portion if you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, in the interest of full disclosure, this son of a bitch is seating on a cushion to make him taller.
This is true. This is true. This is true. This is.
But you're a good-looking guy.
I appreciate that. It's all that I've got.
I always want to be taller, so I'll stand.
That's fair. That's fair.
By the way, I promised that I won't share the information about the farm animals, and I won't.
Oh, okay, right. No, that was. I appreciate that because that was between us. So, Gene, I guess you did share a bunch just now. I found it most interesting that you said, "Hey, do what you love, focus on today, focus on the now."
Well, actually, the truth is that you've got to watch out for tomorrow. The communists had 5-year-long plans. Do a life sort of plan. At the same time, you're here and now. You can affect the here and now much more than you can tomorrow, but you've got to be able to think about tomorrow. So have a long-range point of view and be flexible as the days become here and now, right? I'm going to go straight down that road. Too much traffic here. GPS, XYZ, PTA. You're going to go around it. See what I did there? You're going to go around there to react. So be flexible as you go through life. Most importantly, the more informed you are, the more informed your decision-making process is going to be.
So understanding the more informed you are, the more informed your decision-making process is going to be. A bunch of folks mentioned, your success over the years in many different areas. The first one being KISS. You spoke about that at least in part.
No, the first success was coming to America as a legal immigrant.
From Israel. You were born in Haifa.
I was born in Israel. I know I don't look Swiss. Little pregnant pause there for the joke to sink in because some of you are slow.
Those are different places.
And so I had to come to America and understand, the sort of inferred laws of the land, which is, and I've spoken about this many times in my books, learn to speak goddamn English, would you please? It was my fourth language, so I'm not born. The better you speak, the better people skills you'll have, the better I'll be able to do interviews with that young lady over there, and the more clearly she'll be able to understand me. Otherwise, we're going back to the Tower of Babel, where everybody was proud of their own language. Agree on whatever that culture is. Dress British, think Yiddish. But that's my personal point of view.
As we can see, you're doing a bunch of that. As far as the plan, KISS is a brand as much as it is a band.
The largest. Beatles,
was it intended or was that discovered?
Well, in hindsight's 20/20 and all that, we get a lot of credit for being the geniuses we're not. Geniuses are smart. You're not born that way. You react to your environment. And nature and natural selection, helps you, or you die. So those among us who are flexible and understand how the laws keep changing, because life is actually what happens to you while you're so busy making your plans, right? This is my plan. I know what I'm going to be. I'll be a fireman. Well, next thing you know, you're a preacher. There's a joke in there, but I don't know
we'll leave it.
What that is. So the real story is that when KISS started 45 years ago, marketing was not even a word you used. Nobody talked about branding.
Certainly not with rock and roll.
No, rockers are idiots. If it wasn't for the guitars around our necks, almost all of us would be asking you, would you like some fries with that? So let's just call it for what it is. At the end of the day, you have an inferred fiduciary duty, big words like gymnasium. It means it's your responsibility to learn language skills, people skills, have the right thing at the right place and the right time. And the rest is just goddamn hard work. Don't kid yourself. Do you have, young lady, do you have a garden at home?
She does.
Do. And do you just sit back and watch the roses and stuff grow, or do you have to get up every goddamn day, or somebody does, water it, make sure it's got the right poop in the ground and all this stuff? Your husband does, of course he does. Every day you've got to get up and water the flowers and do the stuff, otherwise they die, and you've got to go back to -0 and plant the seed and do it all over again. Just that one day when you take your eye off the ball. I remember there was a guy on the Ed Sullivan Show before any of you were born who used to spin 10 plates on those sticks. And I couldn't understand how he did that, but you know what he did? As soon as he's always looking around. As soon as you take your eye off one, the dish falls. So this guy is always running around doing that. I'm a dish twirler.
So you keep coming back to this hard work piece. You mentioned coming over to the U.S. I don't, maybe necessarily want to get too deep, but how difficult, thank you so much, really appreciate that.
He's more nervous than Mike Tyson at a spelling bee.
Look that up on YouTube. So how difficult was it, that transition? It sounds like it was nearly impossible.
It's really not. The idea of transition is really easy if you put in the time. And look at the most successful people out there. Schwarzenegger, who's a very nice man, by the way, started off in Austria. Ich kann aussprechen ein bisschen Deutsch. Ich habe gelernt auf der Schule, so I'll speak to you in that. Any of 4 or 5 languages. But the guy started off in Austria, couldn't speak a word of English, came to America and was in a classic Academy Award-winning movie called Hercules in New York, where he talked like this, so they had to put an American voice on top. That was his first movie. And then he went on to become the most successful bodybuilder of all time, transitioned to movie star, at the time, the largest movie star on earth, although people couldn't spell his name or pronounce it correctly, and then became the governor of then the 5th largest economy on planet Earth. By the way, California is yet again the 5th largest economy, ahead of England.
You talked about transitions.
It's easy. It's easy if you're willing to put in the work.
There we go. You talked about transitions. You talked about your kind of evolution as far as cannabis thinking is concerned. You really were kind of anti-drug, so to speak.
It's difficult. I am. I'm a straight-laced guy. So for years and years, I said, I don't use drugs. That's a lie. You all use drugs, and so do I. I use aspirin when I get a headache or that time of the month, whatever's going on. I want to numb my gums when the doctor's going to pull every goddamn tooth I've got in my skull. I don't want to feel it. So we all use drugs. Those are beneficial. There should be another term for that. The opioids and the crack and all, that should have another word for it. And the problem is that it's all lumped into that. So do I use drugs? Yes, I do.
There we go.
Do I use bad drugs? Not on your life. The last thing I want to do is to break my mother's heart. I'm her only child, and that's not a joke. I would do nothing to hurt my mother.
I appreciate that. I was just in Israel, as you were, back in the day, and I got a good understanding of what's happening in research there. Is that part of what is informing you in terms of this evolution? You mentioned Sanjay Gupta, but there's real, true research being done at the universities, right there in Haifa as well, in Israel.
I don't want to wave the flag because everybody's proud of where they're from, but a statement of fact is that Israel, although it's only got 14.5 million people, really, it's actually not true. That's 14.5 million Jews on planet Earth. Look it up. There are very few on planet Earth. And some of you are saying, and rightfully so, about half of that are in Israel. Israel has more patents than any country on the face of the planet other than the United States of America. It's a very strange little country because they have no choice. This was invented in Israel. Space age technology invented there. Motorola, Israel invented the modern cell phone. And so when you're a small country and you can manage the population and the social amenities and so on, you are in the army, you're in the armed forces until you're 54 years old because there's no choice. So they're way ahead in technology, in social sciences, and especially in cannabis, because if cannabis makes life in Israel, I'm trying to edit my words, let's just say find out.
What did you edit out, I wonder? If cannabis makes life in Israel better? Or?
Regulatory says I can't come up here, and rightfully so, and promote cannabis or your perception of it. I don't want to be here to promote anything. The thing I keep coming to over and over again, is the more you learn, the more informed your decisions are going to be. Not so much you, but the rest of them. The more you learn, the more informed your decisions are going to be, no matter what I say. So Israel is ahead of the curve because it's a smaller population, and hypothetically, potentially, there are people around who may not want the country. They have no choice but to be ahead of the pack. We are big, fat, bloated, and 315 million people, and it's tough to move this thing. States' rights, unions, everybody's got fiefdoms and all that. It's difficult to pass legislation. And by the way, that's sometimes good, sometimes bad.
There we go. Exactly. There's the yin and the yang of it all. As far as your investment kind of prowess, you've mentioned you just kind of focus on what you're focusing on. Your advice to the audience was do your research, do your research, do your research. Beyond research and beyond being Gene Simmons, what would your advice be? Do you have 3 more pieces for us besides just do your research?
I can't give you advice. What you should do is give people opinion. Advice has some legal repercussions.
I see. Opinion then, please.
You want an opinion because everybody should ignore everybody's opinion. You listen to it and then you find out for yourself. You know, I think gold is going to go up and oil is going to go up because Iran is now getting the boot from this deal and that deal. Do your own research and make your own gamble because life is a gamble, right? So at the end of the day, I keep coming back to the basic premise that whatever I may think about the lay of the land and life in general, I'm going to keep hitting that nail on the head because the nut job who said all you got to do is hit the nail on the head has no fucking clue what he's talking about. You have to take that goddamn hammer and keep hitting that nail until it goes in over and over and over again. That one time, I hit the nail on the head, I'm done. No, you're not. You're going to be wrapping fish for somebody, even though you hit the nail on the head. So do the hard work. Stop buying books that say 10 rules for getting rich and famous. Come on, if that's all you needed to do, we would all be rich and famous. Anyway, the rest of you, but...
Who's this from? Is this from your mother, your father, this kind of relentless work ethic?
My father abandoned us, me. See, I said us to guard myself. My father abandoned me when I was 6 years old. The shameful thing about this, it's not a unique story. Men have a shameful history, and it continues about abandoning their children and their families. And we need to address that as a separate issue a lot.
Yeah.
The statistics are staggering and shameful for men. I did a piece for New Republic a few years ago. You know what the most common word, commonly used word before bad guys are put to death, either in the electric chair, at that time it was more electric chair than in vets. What's the one word they say more than anything? Mom. Mom and mother. Your mother is never going to abandon you, no matter, she'll give her life for you. When I was a little kid, my mother used to say, I had no clue what she was talking about. I would throw myself in front of a bus for you. What are you talking about?
And she would, is what you're pointing.
She would.
Right.
And as I get older, I say that stuff to my kids, and they're going, what are you talking about?
Maybe if mom said it, they believe it, right?
That's right.
There we go. So since you have so many businesses, since many of them are globally historic, like KISS.
All of them.
What are every single one of them, never a mistake.
No, that's not true. You make mistakes, but you want to lose a battle. You don't want to lose the war. Everything that you do wrong, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Be flexible. Michael Jordan missed many more shots than he got. The best baseball players are batting about 30%, 300.
Right.
That means 70% of the time they lose. It's okay to lose. Just keep swinging that bat. You'll hit it.
3 more pieces of advice in business. What has kept you successful? Number 1, number 2, number 3.
Don't forget that, I have an advantage because, I don't want to say this too often, but it bears noting. My mother was 14 years of age when she was in the concentration camps of Nazi Germany. Through the wisdom of my mother's eyes and her voice and her thing, not a well-educated or worldly woman of 92, but through her eyes, I understand that, the bad part in history was yesterday. It's not in the history books. She lived it. You have every opportunity in the world living in America that invented flight and television and movies and on and on and on, all this technology, and you have the right to think and live as you please. And you cannot fail. There's a chapter 11 and chapter 7. Your business goes under, it's okay. The government will let you write it off and you can start all over again. So there's no excuse for not getting up. It's a double negative, I'll tell you about that later.
Yeah.
For not getting up at the crack of dawn before your loser friends, and stop dipping chips and watching ball games and taking vacations. You're going to take vacations and 2 days off a week. Let me see, 2 days out of 7, that's 104 days just for weekends where you're doing fuck all. You're doing nothing. Then add Christmas, vacation leave, pregnancy leave. I forgot to tie my shoelaces holiday. You're going to spend more days doing nothing, which costs money, than actual days working. So you don't have as much money as I do. I work 7 days a week. Get out there and work, goddammit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll pay you double time and triple time because it's socialism. And get out there and work. Make more money. The more money you, sir, will make, the more she will like you.
There we go. We've got 3 final questions for you, Gene, okay?
It's true.
It's to get off the couch and go do something.
Well,
right?
you're not going to...
You just said it. We hear you. 3 final questions. I'll tell you what they are. I'll ask you them in order. What has most surprised you in cannabis? You might have already answered that. What has most surprised you in life? And on the soundtrack of your life, one track, one song that's got to be on there. I can't wait for that answer. First things first, though. What has most surprised you in cannabis?
What's most surprised me about cannabis was how arrogant and dismissive and judgmental I was. You know, a little knowledge in the wrong hands is dangerous. I'm fairly well read and I'm fairly intelligent, and because of that, you know, holier than thou. The great unwashed masses, they use this stuff. You know, I was guilty as charged of reefer madnessism. I threw out the baby with the bathwater because I didn't know. I didn't know shit. And as I began to learn more, the more of a jackass I understood I was in that area because I was talking through my ass. Although it's a very pretty one, I have to say that. So again, I keep stressing this. Learn more, do your own research, ignore good-looking guys like me. There are always people that'll talk to you, television, media. Some is real news, some is fake news. Do your own research, find out, make your own decision. Do what our founding fathers did in their wisdom. When you go to vote, before then, everybody will try to convince you of anything. I'm God's gift, I'm gonna lower taxes, I'm gonna make you king, blah, 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 blah. When you go and vote, draw the curtain. It's nobody's damn business what your decision is gonna be, right? It's a personal decision. After you've done your research, draw the curtain, make your own decision, doctor.
Take some of that power back, right? It's supposed to be we the people that are in charge.
Well, it hasn't been direct democracy for many years, but we'll tell you about that. I used to teach 6th grade. There's the Electoral College. It's very complex.
We're, by the way, having a workshop with Gene's old students later. You're going to want to see that. What's most surprised you in life?
You were going to ask me my favorite song.
Yeah, that's next. We end with that.
What surprises me, you know, when you're 20, you think you're eternal and invulnerable and all that. I'm going to be 69 in 3 months. Yeah, baby. When I was a kid, 69 didn't look like this. They were in wheelchairs, they didn't take care of themselves. I just went back on the no carb, no sugar thing, and I fucking hate you all. Every day I'm miserable and stuff like that. You're not? She's shaking her head. I hate everybody. I hate myself. When I get up in the morning, give me a piece of cake or I'm going to kill somebody. And
but you're healthy physically, I think, is the point here.
And to torture me more, one of the heads of this organization is Miss Schmier.
Right, yes, of course.
Would you please come up and introduce yourself?
Yeah, that's Kelly Schmier, by the way. Give her a round of applause, folks. And a Schmier goes with a bagel, I think, is your point.
Well,
right?
that's my point.
Yeah.
You can't get away from a Schmier. So I'm telling you that you, if you are your own worst task, be your own drill sergeant, be your own workout guy or gal to make yourself stand up and be smart. So I went back on my protein because I've been bad. I eat, you know, cookies, cakes, and all that. You're going to be a fat fuck before you know it. So the fatter you are, the slower you run the race, right? There's a 100-pound guy and a 500-pound guy, and they're going to run a race. This guy's got to eat 5,000 to 10,000 calories just to keep up. This guy diet air. Who's going to run the cost less to be thin, lean and mean. And when you get to be 69, you can have a hand that doesn't shake, just like mine.
All right, here we go. On the soundtrack of your life, one track, one song that's got to be on there.
Perhaps the most iconic funny man of the 20th century was a guy with a mustache and a hat and a cane. His name was Charlie Chaplin. Right. And we don't think of him that way, but he wrote perhaps the most uplifting spiritual song without getting religious called Smile. Yeah, he wrote that. Smile, though your heart is aching. He got the chicks right away, just with those first two lines. But it's the first word. The first word of the song is smile. The title of the song is Smile. And the last word in the song is When You Just Smile. That's a perfect song. But the most important thing about it is it's uplifting. You know, no matter how bad your day is, you live in America! Fuck's sake! What more do you want?
Get up, give him a round of applause, and smile, for God's sakes.